Righty. I think it should work now. Not sure if there is anyone watching, but okay, whatever. Hello to everyone if you are there. I don't see any names on this list, but the other number says that there should be few people. Just hit some comments. All right, there's Jeff. Hi. This is my very first live feed ever. Just trying this thing and kind of hanging out here and doing some boat design work and just grab a cup of tea or whatever and this is exciting. Okay, so I am just here to design these frames for the boat. There is quite of many things to take into account when doing this work, but let me just quickly get you through what I'm doing here. So if we start with the floor plan kind of view here, I have received from Mr. Tanton these positions of these frames where they should go, and I'm kind of figuring out and measuring everything and taking their places. In that digital lofting video, I actually made the form of the hull from each of these, but now there is a few more of these. I received the plans for the keels, and there is some additional frames on those places, so I need to do the same thing for those later. But yeah, if we take a look at the 3D model here, this is the front of the boat and I have just started from here. I did this first frame, which is the most simplest one. It doesn't have that kind of a floor, that there won't be a sole on this first frame, so that makes it a little simpler. The rest of the frames will have some kind of a floor on them in which the cabin sole or something else will come against. And one thing is these places for the mast. So the first mast, the forward mast, will be on this second frame right here, where is this red piece. That's kind of the mast step. Quite many things going on there, so I'm now making the third frame, which is right around here between these two floors. Yeah. Let's go on. So I have this. So the program I'm using here is Archicad, which is meant for building design, and I use it every day, so I know quite well how to use it. It's not optimal for this kind of work, but I think I can manage. There is these section lines for every frame. So if I open this frame number 2 section here, just know that the section line is now at the front end of that frame. This is the thickness of the frame, so it now is on the front end. And now this, in this section, this darker red line is the front end, and the blue line is the back aft end of that frame. So that's the kind of the shape of the outer edge of the frame. So now I'm kind of figuring out what kind of shape the frame should have on the inside. And this is the cabin sole of the front cabin here, and the floor should come in this pink line. So I'm kind of making this shape right here. This may be a little boring to watch, but no pressure. So this block here, which you can see right here, this is the keel timber that goes all the way from the bow to the aft of the boat. So when I make a section right here, it kind of gives that its shape on that position. So the frame shape in that particular section line is like this. Now when I go in here at the floor pan and move this section line to the aft end of that frame, when we go back here, it will change slightly. So now you can see that the darker red line isn't on that anymore, so we have to do the blue line there to mark that this is the aft edge of that keel timber. Like so. And same thing here, this is the clamp molding, I think its name is. It's a beam that goes all the way across the side of the boat, inside of the frames. So that is additional thing that has to be taken into consideration here. So when I draw these lines, I should get the shape of the frame. You can see the difference between that dark red line and this blue line. Put that. It can be a little difficult to figure out. Like so. So what are you guys doing? Where are you from? It's kind of exciting to see people being interested of this kind of project all over the world. Yeah, there's a lot of details, and the difficult part is kind of you can kind of think that you start doing kind of rough plans and going from there, but with doing that with CNC router and things, and in this way, you really have to take a look at all of those things. Oh, Tampere, moro. You have to think all those things that are coming here, so you just can't do things first roughly and then make them more detailed afterwards. But that's why we have this 3D model. Netherlands, California. This is kind of a so in order to get these things right, I actually have modeled them. If we take this 3D model here, a little more stuff in it now, put that away. So if we take a look at this whole picture here, there is the Keel Timbers. They're kind of a rough shape right now, but they're actually should be right size for the material I'm going to use. So they are going all the way through down there. Then there is this clamp molding this side beam here, which I have modeled. This was kind of quite difficult actually to model. It tends to turn in two directions simultaneously, so I had to do some compromises with that. And here's the side deck, and here is the bulwark. And I'm kind of thinking that, of course, if you imagine this is upside down when you're starting to build it, this is the first part to lay down in there. This part here, it should be easy to cut with the CNC. Then I'm going to do some kind of molds inside here, and probably I'm going to do these side decks already there. So first this, and then some molds underneath, and then these side decks on there, and maybe even these parts, these kind of the high bulwark inside walls, because the frames are going to be in here outside of them. So if you imagine these parts are being already there, and then we insert this frame against those. upside down kind of, and when these frames are in place, this beam should be easy enough to laminate against these frames. So now there's only of course this one frame visible here, but when there's all these frames here, nothing of these additional pieces above, this clamp molding should be easy to laminate against those frames. So that's the kind of the idea, to make as much of the parts as possible while there's still a good access in there. I'm kind of thinking to do most of the interior soles or things underneath here already when the bolt is upside down before planking. But we'll see about that. But at least these side decks maybe should go there. Yeah, let's continue with this frame number 2. So I'll change the section line back to this front end. It's important to remember. Hi Eric from France. So it's important to remember where your section line is, so that you won't get wrong lines in there, so on wrong places. That was actually in the wrong place. Let me just check. They can be a little difficult to put in right positions, these lines. Like so, now it should be in right spot. Of course, I'm moving these lines like a fraction of a millimeter, so it maybe isn't that accurate actually, but well, when using CAD, it's 1-to-1 scale, and yeah, everything is super accurate. Just a second. Yeah, okay. Now it should be right. So now we have this shape here. Let me adjust these. All right, now I'll make the kind of the final shape of the inside of the frame. So just some radius here. Oops. So my new video is hi DC, Dutchman, another stringers. Yeah, they will be laminated. So I was just saying that tomorrow there will be another video where I do test lamination. Let me just grab the test piece. Just a second. right, DC is also making another project on CNC as well. Welcome aboard. Yeah. So these are parts. This is a little, let me put that image a little bigger for you guys. Like that. So I made these test lamination parts. There is going to be a video tomorrow how I made these and how it went. And it was an interesting project because I haven't done any epoxy laminations before. I think it went quite well, and I learned a ton of detailed stuff, how should these be made and what to take into consideration. But yeah, these frames that you see there, they are like this, so I'm gonna make these plywood, CNC cut plywood boards from to either side, and the inside will be laminated wood like that. This is just a test piece, not that well done, but you can maybe see how it looks like. Some sneak peek there. I'm too big on the image. I put myself a little smaller in the corner. Okay, I think we are ready to go here. Yeah, DC asked that how much time have I spent to the tent. Not time, but money. Well, the shed itself, the ready to go pack was, I think it was 11,000 euros. And the plot itself is very cheap. It's like a 600 euros per month, not month, or year. 600 euros per year, the plot. And yeah, there are a few thousands to that foundation. So I could say that it hasn't cost so far maybe 15,000 altogether. Not that much, but there's still a lot to do because I still don't have electricians there. That's kind of a big cost to get the electric contract there. And I can tell you a sneak peek that the shed is now ready. We got the tarp on there a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I think I gonna the idea, of course, is that I can sell the place, the tent and all the stuff in there. So maybe I can afford some sales eventually. Yeah, that's the idea. It should be easy enough to dismantle if someone wants to buy it and move it in another place. So it won't be lost money in that way. But how much I'm gonna get it, that's no idea. But I think if I do a good maintenance with it, and it has power cables all around and all that tools and stuff I'm gonna use in there and sell all those things as a pack, so I think it would be quite good deal. But that's something to see eventually. All right, now I think we are almost done with these lines. So now if you can imagine this red, dark red line here, this is the front face of the frame, and the blue line is the aft edge of the frame. So now when I select all these blue lines here, let's group them together like so and take them a little bit way there. So this should be now the shape of the front end of that particular frame. So now I can just use the magic wand to do a hatch here, like so. Let's put something else, something like that. So now this shape is the front end of that frame, and this shape should be, this is actually the shape I can cut with the CNC, just like that. It's very easy to export this shape to that CNC router. And now if I take this red lines here and group them together and take them away and take these blue lines back. Like so. Now I can do the same thing with this. So now I have these two shapes that can be cut with the CNC. So let me just put the lines in the right color so I won't mess them around with each other. So now I can basically, now this is just a 2D drawing, but let me just do this frame as a 3D shape. So I take this another tool here and let's do it a little bit differently. Now now I'll change the section line to the aft end, like so, and now I do the blue one. So actually it's not maybe necessary to do this. Just a second. Now there should be those shapes in 3D. So now I made 3D shapes from those hatches I made in that section. Now I just move this back on position like so. So now I have this front end and aft end of that frame. So if you can see right here, it fits quite well to that shape of the boat. So let me do just some editing magic with these, so I can get them as a solid piece. Like that. Let me. Now it should make it solid piece, just like that. So now we have another half of a frame here. Like that. Let me put the material there, something like that. Looks a little bit more like wood. And now we'll take mirror copy of that frame, like so, and now we have this second, actually third frame here, and it has the floor shape on it as well. This is actually one little detail, this corner right here. So I'm actually gonna ditch these separate floors, at least that one. And this corner is kind of interesting. How should that be made? So if you imagine laminating this from one piece, you can't make a sharp corner like that. But when you're making this floor against there, yeah, that can be a little difficult part. Yeah, that's the process basically. Now I'm just let's check a little bit of that. So when I'm making this, let's take a look at that first frame. What I've done a little more in there. So, oops. This is the shape of this frame. But there's these additional pieces here that are the pieces that I'm gonna need to form the mold for laminating this frame. So if you imagine, we're going to put these slats of this frame, and we're going to put them against this these blocks. So there will be kind of a wood slat going against these, and I can press them against these blocks. So these must be added into this shape, which we're going to cut with CNC. Yeah, I had some issues how to do the volume on those earlier videos. So yeah, there may be some variations of those. I'm still learning these things. Can I ask from the DC that what kind of boat you're making? Do you have some particular plans or something? Where are you starting with? Yeah. Okay, freestanding mast, that's good. That's what I... Actually, the background of my project is that there maybe could be nice boats out there to start with, but my boat is kind of a combination of different features that are not available in any boat. So yeah, put the link and I'll check it out later. It's nice to have fellow builders or planners at least. Yeah, but yeah, I need to do these blocks, and in video tomorrow where I make these test pieces, one of the things that I noticed that these blocks, these what I'm gonna do here, they should be quite a lot bigger so that they can keep the shape better, so and handle that pressure. When you're putting many of those wooden slats against each other, it's actually surprisingly big force. Yeah. Let's do some. Well, you have to start from somewhere. Yeah. My first video is, I don't know, was it 6 years ago or something? It was kind of a dream said out loud. And yeah, but that was the start. Since then, the whole thing has been behind the ear and whispered me every now and then, should you do something? Should you do something? Yeah, so let's put these additional blocks. Maybe it should be like 100 mils or something like that. So these are the pressure blocks needed for actually laminating the thing. So I'll just put some of these in here. They don't have to be any exact exact measure with these, so I'll just put something in here. This is actually interesting part. This is interesting part because there is a difference on both sides of this in this part, so maybe there could be a block like this. This is something I have to test before making these final frames. Could it be something like that? Oh. This is interesting. I have to figure out this how to do this, because if I make the block like that, it won't be the right shape. This corner right here. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, you wasn't here. This is Archicad, and this is meant for building. So I'm an architect, and I use this program every day. So I know this program. I have the license and stuff. So it's kind of a easy approach for me. But it's not perfect for this kind of work. Something like SolidWorks could be a lot better, but this also kind of forces me to be kind of a rough, because SolidWorks can be a little too detailed, if you know what I mean. Yeah, the block should be like that so that I can laminate against it, but the blue part should expand over that. Yeah, that's something to be aware of. Right, let me just now I'm gonna add these blocks into these forms I made earlier. Actually, put this core around there, like so. Yeah, yeah. I haven't really used any kind of a machine CAD software besides the Fusion 360 a little bit, but the approach in that kind of program is so different than in these kind of building CADs what I'm used to that it was kind of difficult. It's so much more like a engineer software. You should be aware of everything before drawing anything almost. So with this you can kind of mess around and see what's coming, and editing is quite easy afterwards. Okay, I think this is I'm making now the shape for those blocks that will be cut with the CNC. So these are little interesting pieces to go with. Just a moment, I will demonstrate what I mean with these. Just check that it is correct. Yeah. So now we have this kind of shape. Yeah. I was just wondering. I should subtract these, so these blocks. Oops. All right, now we have all these pieces here. So now if I go back in the floor plan, and floor plan as an architectural term. Yeah, the skill of using this kind of software, it takes a lot of time. I have used this software for over 15 years, so yeah, I kind of know what I can do with it and what I can't. So that makes it a lot easier. Yeah, just tell me if you want me to have a little tour inside of the boat. I just try to make this one frame thing ready. So now we have this. So what we're going to need to do here is three things with the CNC. The front shape of the frame, like if we take this example block here, the front shape of the frame, the aft shape of the frame, and those blocks that go in here. So all of those have to be cut with the CNC. So like that. Now we'll make these blocks. Oops, let's add these together. Just one. So now there should be these shapes in 3D model like that. Let me just so now I need to, so these will be, I think I'm gonna use 6mm plywood, so 6mm in that direction. 6mm in that direction. And then there was these blocks. I need to move them 6mm and then do it like that. That was wrong. 6 millimeters and like that. Maybe you can now see what's going on here. So these are all the blocks. Let me get rid of that. I don't now actually need this frame to anything because the frame will be built from parts, so I just move it there. So these now the red parts, let me change the color a little bit so it will be a little bit more easy to follow. So these yellow parts are 6 millimeter plywood sheets that can be cut with CNC to that shape, and those red ones are the blocks that are as well cut with the CNC, and these slats will be put inside here and pressed against these blocks with the glue between, and then we cut these blocks and these away, and the result will be this. So that's the idea. And actually I'm now trying to do these plans from all of these frames and parts so that I can start figuring out the cutting process. So these are so big that let me check how big that actually is. This is the third frame. The size of this frame is actually quite large. So if we think we're gonna do this is one part, this is 2.3 meters wide and 2.1 meters tall. So this is so big that I can't cut with this with as one go, so I actually have to cut pieces and kind of join them together and put them on a large table and laminate in that way. Oh, I think there has been almost an hour of this jammering. This was my first live, and yeah, I will take you to that tour now. Just put the right layers on here. So now I put all the layers on there as Boolean operators and stuff like that. Looks a little bit funny. And some additional things that slow down the okay, the boat looks like this. I have received the 3D model of this hull shape from Mr. Tanton. It's made with Rhino and it's imported to Archicad. Archicad and Rhino work quite well together. So that's the shape, and everything else is done here in Archicad with tools like walls and roofs and stuff like that found on buildings. But yeah, so what I meant with the different features, of course the deck saloon feature is the most important one. I want the boat to be like this so I can see all around here. You can imagine being on the tropical island and looking at the views from these windows. So that was kind of the first thing. Then I like the idea of this Moody 52 or 54 DS. Have this fixed bimini roof on the cockpit. So that's one thing. I have no idea what kind of structures this has to be, but we'll get there eventually. And then there's this AML-like steering position here that you can sit right here, protected from elements, and see 360 degrees. So there will be windows at front here, of course. And at the very beginning, it was one of the first videos I kind of figure out with or thought the idea having this more like a Moody kind of thing, that there is a big windows on the backside as well, but it would have raised the deck saloon so much it looked funny. And one thing was that with this kind of solution, at night watch, you can be here and close the doors, and there will be no light coming in or out, and you can just be here and someone else can be inside to have a proper lighting inside. So this is kind of a compromise, because now when you're sitting here on these benches, you don't have a straight view forward, but that's something. There's always compromises to be made. This is one of those. But yeah, this cockpit is as low as possible, so there is 2 steps or 3 steps down. So this is not descending into some kind of a cave, but more like a couple of steps. So there should be a good access and good kind of flow with the space here. And here is another cabin, smaller cabin for guests. It's 1.4 meters, if I remember right. No, 1.2 meters bed here. And then there is a pilot berth right here. That is something I did after the videos I made from the interior plans. I got quite many good comments and questions, and this was one of those, that where the pilot berth was originally at the front under the galley, but that took a lot of space from the galley, and it was kind of on those kind of in here somewhere, so it was quite a long way from the cockpit in there. So now this is a much better solution, I think. And this one of the difficult things is the different levels here. So there's this floor level that you can stand on, and when standing you can see outside, but when you're sitting you won't see outside. So this saloon sofa slash bed is raised so that when you're sitting here you can see outside, so you can't stand. Oops, sorry. There's no standing room from this level. But I think that's okay. Kind of similar from Garcia exploration boat. This, but this is of course a bit narrower boat, so there's not that much room compared to the Garcia. Then there's a single toilet with a proper shower space. This should act as a wet locker as well, or maybe, yeah, I don't know, but this is a locker space right here on the companionway. and good big galley, a lot of counter space. I think there will be a fridge inside here, like from Sail Life. Mads has this amazing table that rises and the fridge is underneath there. This could be something similar. And of course there's a huge room underneath the sole, so let me put that water away. So if we dive under the sole here, you can see there is like almost a meter, 800 millimeters of space under the sole. So I think I'm going to have some kind of cold storage beneath the floor in here. All kinds of storage. There will be batteries and there will be some tanks and stuff like that as well. When we go forward here, there's this main cabin underneath the main saloon seating. So this is as low as possible and as middle as possible in the boat, so the movement should be quite gentle in this position. And then there's this forward cabin. There's these frames we did, and I have now something like a bed here, but most likely this is going to be a workshop or something like that, maybe some bunk beds, but storage or something. We'll see about that. But yeah, the one feature I wanted was this dinghy garage. So this is something I have to check still, that the dinghy will actually fit in here height wise, and the detailing how the dinghy should be getting there, that's something I don't really know yet. But one thing I want to have is the built-in wind vane. So this is a placeholder for that wind vane rudder. So I'm gonna do some kind of system that will allow this to have the rudder right here and the wind vane part separately somewhere. This is the hull design is from Mr. Tanton Design, American guy who has designed this kind of cat-catch boats for 30 years, so he has a lot of experience of this. This is actually, let me just show you quickly if I can find it. So here is the Tanton Design pages. This is the boat that what I found, and the plans are from this boat. So this is a steel boat that was built in the 90s. Just one of them is built, I believe. But it had the right length and the catch rig, and it was kind of almost the boat I wanted. It is a steel hull and it has a fiberglass deck, which makes it much lighter than a steel boat would be. So the hull shape was modified. It's a bit wider and a bit shallower, my hull. It was modified from this, and I'm gonna have double keels. But yeah, and the deck of course is completely different from this, but the hull shape is from this boat. Slightly modified version of this. There's actually quite a good amount of ready to go plans available from Mr. Tanton. notes like these. But yeah, that was a process to find the proper starting point. Now I'm getting the plans for the structures and for the hull from there, and all the other things, the deck and all the interior, I'm doing myself. Yeah, what I can say with this experience so far is that everything affects everything, and it's quite difficult to actually get the hold of the whole thing as a one design. So let me just make a section here, not in that direction. If we take a section like this, you can see that there's this, with this kind of boat design, there's these multiple levels all over, and they all kind of affect everything, and what kind of headroom should there be on here, and how tall should be the deck, and how it affects the views from inside, and when you're walking here, how much there should be room. This kind of place is actually quite difficult to design without actually having the shape around you. And I think I'm gonna make some mock-ups from these kind of places, so it's very easy to bump your head in a place like that. And where are these platforms here and stuff like that? And yeah, there's many things that all affect each other, and I have spent hours and hours and hours with this design already. So I'm hoping that the measurement, the whole measurement thing is now almost there, that I won't have to change much anymore. And one thing I'm doing right now actually is that I'm modeling these frames, because they take surprisingly a lot of space inside from. So I have to take those into consideration and maybe modify the plans accordingly. But yeah. Yeah, DC, your plan sounds very interesting, and I'm looking forward to take a look at those. So, all right, we have spent over an hour here already, so if you don't mind, I'll continue just by myself, and it was kind of a nice little experiment to have this live feed. Not sure if I'm gonna save this live feed for later to watch, but yeah. Now is the last chance to put your comments or questions. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, DC. Nice to have you here. And remember to subscribe. There's a new video coming tomorrow. And I have material of one additional video of taking that shed up. But yeah, it should come in a couple of weeks. All right. Bye bye, guys. Ja kiitos.